27 Digital Now Center. This is Beyond the Forecast with your most accurate local meteorologists.
Well, we say good morning, everybody. It is great to be with you here on a Wednesday, on a very cold Wednesday morning. You know, it's colder this morning than it was yesterday. And I know James Crummell had a question for me this morning on Daybreak about why did schools delay yesterday and they didn't today? And, I don't have that answer. I worked, again, as some of you know, on Saturday evening, and I was calling for temperatures to be around 10 degrees both Tuesday and Wednesday morning. The one thing that made yesterday a little rough was the breeze. Now, it wasn't that windy, but it was breezy, and wind chills almost everywhere at times dropped below zero. We did not have the winds this morning, but temperatures were colder than they were yesterday. In fact, Lancaster was sitting at 4 below this morning, and they have some snowpack there. I know Mannheim and Lidditz also saw below zero temperatures, and so that was especially critical as we moved into this morning, and temperatures were able to drop because we had clear skies and calm winds. But the good news is, for those of you that want to break from the extreme cold, we have it, and we've got some mild weather to talk about. And yes, the purpose of this, of course, is going to be to really delve into the weekend. As conditions might be shaping up here, I'm growing more confident in a significant snowstorm for us on Sunday. But let's get started now. We're going to start with our headlines today and look at Hanover here. Hard to see Hanover because the sun is at a bad angle. But let's focus on the headlines. A breezy and warmer day today. And you might be thinking, warmer? Some of us were in the sub-zero category this morning. But yes, a southerly breeze will help us to warm up above freezing today and even milder tomorrow. And so we often talk about the stage being set for these winter storms. You really need cold air to come in ahead of these storms if we want some good snow. Well, I think we have that because this weekend looks Arctic. We're going to get a full day for that cold air to build in on Saturday and then some snow on Sunday. And we're going to talk about all of that coming up. But what a beauty of a sunrise here. That shot right there, framing of that sun coming up in Carlisle looks beautiful, doesn't it? And it is going to be a sunny start. But because skies cleared, look at the temperatures down into the single digits for everybody. As I mentioned, Lancaster is up to 1 degree. They were sitting at 4 below a few hours ago. 6 in York, 3 in Lebanon. Most of the state is entrenched with this frigid air. We're about 5 to 10 degrees colder than yesterday. So the difference is, of course, we don't have the wind to sting us, but it is chilly. And here you can see the winds. And I just point that out to show that the winds are a non-factor this morning. They will be again by this afternoon because we've got a front, almost a Clipper-type system, but I would just call this a weak cold front that's going to be swinging in here from the west today. And it could produce some mountain snow showers for some of our northwestern counties later, but that's not a given. I think most of us end up staying dry, but I want to mention it because places like Lewistown and Mifflintown and maybe parts of Perry County could see a snow shower today. But look at the temperature. It's going to feel nice, 35 degrees, and winds could gust near 25 miles an hour. Now, tonight, a stray snow shower with temperatures around 30. So it's going to be warmer, but we do dip back below freezing. So where's the front at now? It's moving through Chicago. It's moving through the Midwest, and I can sort of draw a line on here. I have the arrow pointing to it, but this is our next front right about here as it gets set to move through the Midwest. It's going to swing to the east and increase the winds. Out ahead of it, the winds will be coming from the south later, so that's why we're going to warm up nicely here today. Now, you'll also notice Harrisburg is the coldest spot on the map. Behind this air mass, temperatures do moderate a bit. Not a lot. But you can see that we do have temperatures here in the 20s, 34 in St. Louis. And so that's why we don't expect there to be an Arctic outbreak through the end of the week. In fact, today, temperatures should climb into the low to mid-30s. I think it's going to be a perfectly pleasant afternoon. Tonight, warmer. Temperatures stay around 30 degrees. We're not going to be dealing with the frigid air. And then look at the temperatures tomorrow. Enjoy tomorrow. For those of you that are sick of the cold, temperatures should be in the low to mid-40s. This may be the last 40-degree day we see this month, and maybe for quite a while, as the Arctic air will eventually entrench itself. Friday, we're back above freezing during the day, and then Friday night, the Arctic air plunges in. So today, winds from the south help with this warm-up. And look at it. It's going to be breezy this afternoon and into this evening. Tomorrow, another gusty day. As we start to see the winds shift then to the northwest, that'll make for a cooler day on Friday, but temperatures still above freezing. But then look at Friday afternoon. Notice the winds again, 20 to 30 mile-an-hour winds. It's going to be breezy, if not windy, here the next 3 days. And then Friday night, here comes a bowling ball of Arctic air And I'll talk about that coming up in just a bit. So Precision Cast, you can see, does show some snow showers, mainly west of our viewing area, but I will mention it. Some of these could try to make it in here tonight. Otherwise, the clouds are just going to increase. And then look at tomorrow. A nice day. Temperatures in the 40s, partly cloudy, breezy. Friday looks nice. Sunshine mixing with a few clouds. Temperatures in the low to mid-30s. And again, blustery, but nice enough. We really don't have a lot of weather to talk about until we get to the weekend. Dun, dun, dun. So let's talk about the extended outlook here. And one of the things to note is just how frigid things are going to be through the end of January. So from this point forward, after Friday, we are talking about some mighty cold air coming in to the region and kind of setting up shop here. Let's look at the long-range forecast. Here's what I can say again about the weekend. Saturday, the cold air sets up. It's going to be dropping southward, highs in the teens after lows drop into the single digits. So the cold air moves in Saturday, which is good news if you want snow, because that's going to entrench itself across the region. And then, as we look ahead into Saturday night, we start to see the snow spread in from the southwest. Sunday night will be snowy. But I will say, look, the storm is lifted to the north. Look at this mixing line here. Still looks like mainly snow for D.C., but boy, the mixing line is creeping north, as these things tend to do. There's going to be parts of the country from the Tennessee Valley over to the Carolinas that get a very good ice storm out of this. So just keep that in mind. For us, the storm then pivots. And again, looky here. Now, I think the cold air is entrenched enough to keep this all snow. But I will say again, look at how far the mixing line is lifting. That's something that we have to watch. We can't just, these are all the little things we have to determine. Now, the one issue that I will say that we talked about on here was the storm being suppressed to the south, that the cold air was going to push everything south. That does not look to be an issue anymore because of the timing. The cold air arrives Friday night and Saturday. It sort of gets entrenched, and then the storm will be allowed to move to the north. I think it looks cold enough for all snow, but it is just something that we want to watch heading into Sunday, and then the storm will break up Monday morning, and it's out of here. So here's what we know at this point. No, listen, this is a Sunday storm. It's Wednesday. We're not going to talk amounts. I'll show you some model amounts. I think that's fair on here to talk about, but there's still no way to get a totally specific read on this. But confidence is increasing that we will get a significant snow here on Sunday. I think that is looking more and more likely. So Saturday night, the snow will develop. It looks very cold, with temperatures falling perhaps into the single digits and teens. Snowy and cold on Sunday with significant accumulation possible. That is going to be the brunt of the storm. At least that's how it looks today on Wednesday. The brunt of the storm will occur during the daylight hours on Sunday, and then by Sunday night, the storm will pull away. It's going to turn blustery and very cold again. But the next 3 days will be above freezing during the day. So 35 today. Again, a passing snow shower for the mountains. Milder and breezy tomorrow with a high of 43. And a blustery day on Friday as we get set for that Arctic air to move in Friday night. So a frigid setup here for the weekend. Only 17 on Saturday. If that cold air gets entrenched, as we think it will, that means we're in store for a good old-fashioned snowstorm here on Sunday. There's still lots of details to iron out with this. And again, that mixing line creeping farther to the north is always something that we want to watch, given the history here. But the setup is looking more and more promising for at least some snow. And I will start, before we break down some model runs for the weekend, let's look at our long-range temperatures here. And the one thing I will say is no matter how much snow we get on Sunday, it ain't going anywhere. And we've been talking about this now for a couple of days, but look at the weekend. Temperatures only in the teens for highs. This will be a very efficient snowmaker if it does stay all snow. And most of next week is in the 20s. Now, that is our blend of models, which can be a little cold. But even the European, look at this, the extended outlook shows, maybe next week we hit 30 on Wednesday. Whoop-de-doo, it's still below freezing. Look at some of the high temperatures here going forward. Again, I will tell you that for the rest of this month and perhaps into early February, we're in store for some extremely cold weather. Temperatures likely to stay below freezing for much of the next 2 weeks. And so if we get a ton of snow on Sunday, it is going to stick around. That is for sure. Even if we only get a couple inches, it's going to stick around. And I think we could be in store for more than that. So right now, let's talk about some of the models. Now, I want to caution you before we discuss this. This is called Beyond the Forecast. I am totally fine with going through some of the model data, but you have to take it with a grain of salt right now. It is still only Wednesday, and we're not issuing any specific forecast yet. That is a fool's errand at this point. So I will say that before we look at some of the model guidance here, that we're growing more confident in a couple of things. One, that cold air is likely not to suppress the storm south any longer. That issue seems to have gone. So I'm growing increasingly confident that the storm will be far enough north to give us snow, and the timing looks to be Saturday night. The brunt of the storm will be Sunday during the day, and then the storm exits Sunday night. So we will be dry here on Monday, but we might have to dig out because it does look more and more likely that a significant snow is on the way for this region on Sunday. Now, again, it's only Wednesday. This is something we have to monitor, but more and more models are coming into agreement here for this scenario. So obviously, you want to try to get ahead of it as best you can. Let's go out here. There's the front today. I am taking you through here the European model. Let me there. We've clicked ahead. You can see the full image. So again, mainly dry here until we head into the weekend. There's that first little chunk too that comes through the Carolinas early in the weekend, Friday night into Saturday, and then Saturday will be dry. The cold air sets up across Pennsylvania, and then here comes Sunday, and you'll notice this occurs. We talk in Z time for meteorology. 6Z is overnight Saturday. Here's Sunday morning. It looks like some decent snow really revs up by dawn on Sunday, and it looks to continue. There's that mixing line creeping north, and I'm telling you, it's something we may have to watch out for. But having said that, here in the Susquehanna Valley, a lot of times the cold air gets entrenched enough, too, to make us all snow, while areas to the south get more of a mix. And then the storm, as we move into Sunday night, has its last gasp, and it's gone by here is dawn on Monday. Just a few lingering snow showers up over New England. So, again, to me, the timing looks good for a Sunday storm. So let's back this up to Saturday because now I want to take you through the potential for snow. Remember, this is just one model, and this happens to be the European model. We'll take a look at the American model coming up. But this European model, this latest run of it, does wallop us with some good snow amounts. You can see it does shift the bullseye for this storm a little bit farther to the north, and it does have our southern tier counties, especially in that, showing, up to a foot of snow. Now, the issue with that is, again, this is a 10-to-1 ratio. So if we get a little mix, could be less. If it's really going to be in the teens on Sunday, and that's something we're going to have to watch, this could be a very, very efficient snowmaker for us. So let's go to the American model here and show you if the GFS has come on board with this. And to some extent, the answer is yes. Now, this doesn't show quite as much snow. It shows about 4 to 5 inches less. But it does nonetheless have it snowing here most of Sunday now. And it gives the same rough idea that, when we talk about a significant storm, I am talking about, first of all, it's very rare to get a foot of snow here. But when I say significant, I'm usually talking about over 6 inches. So that could mean 6, 7, 8, 9 inches. And it's looking more and more likely that the storm is trending that way. So it obviously does bear some watching, as we move into the weekend in terms of being, significant. Now, again, the caution here is this. We're not putting out a forecast yet, and there's a reason for that. It's only Wednesday. We need to see where this mixing line goes. Does that still trend to the north and wipe out some of these higher snow totals? If that's the case, then the storm is going to be warm. I like the cold air that's coming in. It is significant enough that this looks to be mainly snow, and it looks to be a fairly significant amount for us. That is, I'm growing more confident in here as the days pass by and as the models sort of converge. But again, is this a 6-inch snowstorm, or are we talking closer to a foot? So that's something that we want to watch. We're going to let the cold air play out. We're going to let the positioning of the storm take place. It's going to be a lot easier Thursday and Friday once the storm actually starts to develop and the models see where this thing can trend. But I will say the suppression issue that we talked about earlier in the week, where the cold air barrels south and pushes most of the moisture away, that doesn't look to be the case. There's moisture with this, and it looks like the moisture is going to be moving to the north right over south central Pennsylvania. So the fine details, which is always where the devil is, the devil's in the details, are really going to need to be worked out over the coming days. But you can start to at least think about a significant snow on Sunday and making plans, and likely, that would obviously have an impact into Monday as well. We are going to update you here over the course of the next couple of days. Will there be any mixing? Will the cold air set up enough that, maybe ratios of this snow are not 10 to 1, maybe they're more like 12 or 15 to 1, and we get hit pretty good? These are questions that we have yet and we don't know. So there's a lot of specifics that are going to need to come out here before we really start to narrow down the nitty-gritty of this storm. So one more time, I'm going to show you what I think we do know, and that is what to expect this weekend, and that is on Saturday night, the snow will develop likely after midnight. It's going to be very cold and Arctic, and then a snowy Sunday is looking likely. Very cold, significant accumulation is possible during the day on Sunday. The storm will then pull away Sunday night. It's going to be blustery and very cold. And when I say very cold, I mean it's going to stay cold. And those temperatures, too, if we have a snowpack, and that's something else to keep in mind. I'm going to pull those back up. Here's the long-range temperatures here for the rest of the month. If we have any sort of a snowpack, folks, these temperatures probably will have to be adjusted downward. So we're talking about if everything lines up. And I think there's still some question marks, but less questions today than yesterday. If everything lines up, we're talking about good old-fashioned winter. And if we can get a storm of over 6 inches of snow that doesn't go anywhere for a few weeks, kids can get out the sleds and have a little fun because temperatures are not getting above freezing here anytime soon. So enjoy today. Enjoy tomorrow and enjoy Friday where highs get above freezing. It will be breezy each day. We're going to continue to work around the clock, tracking this storm, giving you the latest on it. You can always find us on abc27.com. Of course, we are on your broadcast televisions on ABC27 around the clock, and we've got our new ABC27 CTV app for your smart TVs. You can find our forecast updates, too, on the web and on YouTube at ABC27 News. Check them out, and we will, of course, continue to follow this throughout the rest of the week. Updates each day, more specific forecasts coming each day as we get a little bit closer, but you can start making plans for a snowy Sunday, and we'll keep you posted. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'm meteorologist Brett Thackara for Beyond the Forecast on ABC27. I'll see you soon.